The number of times I've heard one of those vampires say, "Oh, put on some 40 ounces to freedom," and also I'm cursed to live in this form for all eternity.
Yeah.
We have concerns. Hi, Jeff Canada.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens.
Anthony, it's been a while.
Been a while
Since I broke the song out, but I think it's time. Welcome to the hologram future. Welcome to the hologram future. We did it. We did it.
Don't we already have holograms?
No, not like the holograms we got now. We've had a whole bunch of fakeograms that have been.
That's what we call them in the business.
Yeah, that's a scientific term. Fakeograms.
I come from a long line of hologram sellers.
Masquerading as holograms, trying to convince you to believe that they are holograms. Sure, we've had stuff that has functionally created the effect you want from a hologram. We've had that since the 19th century.
Okay.
You know about the
Pepper's Ghost and that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah. Pepper's Ghost, where it creates a false image. It's literally where the term smoke and mirrors came from.
Yeah. Pepper's Ghost, also the basis for Sega's hologram arcade machine technology in the mid-90s. Like Time Traveler and Hollow Fighter.
Yeah. Dude. When I went into an arcade that had either one of those, I was like, we're in top tier arcade right now, Mom.
This is it. This is a classy arcade.
Mom, I need you to find a place.
Get out my clip-on bow tie.
Because I'm gonna be here a while.
Listen. I'm just gonna take a guess, Mom. They've got the good tater tots here. They come out fresh from the bag.
I hope you brought your cross stitch.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be here a while.
Settle in. They might also have Jurassic Park: The Lost World, and I'm going to disappear into that Jeep for a long time.
So we've had a number of technologies that have attempted to provide you
Tupac
is basically a 21st century version of Pepper's Ghost.
Yeah.
There's the fundamental physics behind how Tupac was created is the same.
We're talking about the real
charlatan.
Tupac.
What?
We're talking about the real Tupac.
Yeah, how he was created.
This is how Tupac Shakur was created.
Yeah.
In a lab. The same way that a charlatan in the 19th century duped unsuspecting purchasers of the e-ticket. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
But no, now.
But I feel like I've seen real holograms, haven't I? When would I have seen a real hologram? What about like hologram? What about like hologram baseball cards? Those aren't holograms, are they?
No. Those are. I mean, you have the technology where it presents one image to the right eye, one image to the left eye, and the intersection between those two images creates something that seems to hover in the air. You have that.
Okay.
You have like baseball card holograms are, they create an illusion that something is coming off the surface, but it's not creating anything that you would ever believe be an object hovering in the air.
So a hologram would be, I would have to like lay the Pokemon card or the baseball card down on a table, and the Pokemon would have to project up from the card. And it would have to be like 3-dimensional. Like I could look at Pikachu's back and front.
The holy grail of holograms is to basically create an image in the air the same way our eye perceives an image. So when you look at anything, if you look at my face, you look at a flower, if you look at a tall building, whatever it is.
Beautiful things. Your face,
most beautiful,
a flower,
the three most beautiful things you can imagine. My face. What you're seeing, you're not actually seeing my face or the building or the flower. You're not actually seeing that. You're seeing photons that are interacting with those physical objects in certain ways. And your eye is interpreting the behavior of those photons, the wave form that the interaction is creating. Your eye is interpreting that as an object. That's why.
Different frequencies of light are being absorbed and reflected in different ways. And our eyes are just built to see the way light the way light interplays with those things.
Exactly. That's why if you walk into a room with no lights on, it's dark, you don't know that there's any objects there. Because we don't see objects, we see the way that light bounces off or is absorbed by those objects.
Okay, smarty pants. Well, then what's the closest thing I've seen to a hologram so far?
Well, I'll tell you what we're talking about today, which is an article submitted on our Discord by, guess who, Anthony? Guess who?
Is it Cahoots?
No.
Is it no nickname?
Well, in a way. It is Greg Crumbliss, who you promised gets on the show one more time and gets a nickname.
Oh, Greg the Cookie Crumbliss.
Yes, the cookie is
back.
The
cookie is back 2 weeks in a row. Be honest. When I say something like that, when I say I'm going to give them a nickname, do you then specifically look for them to submit? Do you give them special treatment?
No, in this case, I did not. In this case, I found the story and then I was delightfully surprised that it was a Crumbliss original.
It was like a Hooters restaurant. It was delightfully tacky yet unrefined.
I was, I'm not above giving deferential treatment to folks. It's something I would do, but in this case, I didn't even have to.
Got his name. That's literally how Cahoots got his name.
It's very true.
Okay, so you're about to tell me what the closest thing we have to a hologram is.
This is a brand new technology that has just been unveiled, debuted. A company. Now, this is being covered by sites like PC Mag and VentureBeat. I mean, this is like a real tech story. Just happened in the last couple of days. This is a company called Lightfield Lab. And the tech that they are debuting is something they're calling solid light system. And what it does is it creates a hologram in a way they claim no one has ever done before. They are literally creating a wavefront. They're projecting a wavefront in front of a two-dimensional display. So they're literally, it's proprietary. They have patents on this stuff, so they're not going to get into detail on how it works exactly. But the concept is they are actually mimicking the way that photons relate to physical objects in space in order to not trick your eye, but recreate the thing your eye needs for it to think a real object is there.
Okay. I have brought up the Lightfield Lab site, and I am looking at what I assume is a real plant. They've set up sort of a diorama, a jungle-esque diorama. Yes. But on that jungle-esque diorama is
chameleon.
What I'm going to say is a Rango-like, because it's not quite Rango. It's a bit Rango, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's an IP suit here. I don't know if I'm required as a contract employee of the Walt Disney Corporation to Industrial Light and Magic to report this to my superiors, because he's not wearing a little cowboy hat. And I think
the cowboy hat is what makes it an IP offense, I believe.
Yeah, but I think it also would have really sold me on this idea. Because
if it was Rango.
Because, well, not just if it was Rango, but if there was some sort of little hat. Because here's the thing. I'm looking, they're moving the camera back and forth, but they're also the Rango, which is the scientific term for this type of lizard. The Rango is also sort of like walking up and down this branch, and it's
at one point he sticks his tongue out and tries to catch a fly.
Right, and they do something where they practically move one of the plants in time with it, where you can see they're really doing a little show with it.
They're selling it. Yeah.
Now I can tell that Rango isn't really there. I can see with my eyes that Rango is not really solid. Rango looks lower resolution than reality, and he's not 100% opaque, Rango.
Yes. So, as I said, this event...
Please picture Rango. I know it's not Rango, but please only picture Rango.
Yeah. We know that Rango, a huge cultural icon, a touchstone everyone can connect to.
Listen, I fucking love Rango.
I know you do. Rango comes up on this podcast more than really most things.
You should hear how much science comes up on my Rango podcast.
Not ever, I'm going to guess. Not ever.
More than you'd think. It's a non-zero.
So, as I said, this was an event. This was this sort of coming out party for this technology that I find fascinating and exciting. But a number of journalists were invited to attend this. The PC Mag, VentureBeat, a couple of the places, Forbes. And I've been reading the accounts of all of these journalists who saw it in person. A child
from the local arcade who's a real good judge of holograms, and he came in his best clip-on bow tie.
Yeah. God, if only.
He's asking about tater tots the whole time. Like, does this event have tater tots?
That's the last starfighter of tech journalism. It's like, you've been in this arcade long enough. It was all a test. It's just so you get to go see this.
That's sort of how you got into things.
Not wrong.
And that's how you. And that's still how you ask it. That's still how you act at press events. Is you're like, "Where's the tater tots?"
It's so true. Dude, you know how it's been nearly 2 years of my life since I've been to an event, and now I moved away from Los Angeles, so I probably won't go in many more.
When was the last time you had a complimentary slider? I ask you,
dude. It's like I can't even tell you. That's how long it's been. not a single. Individually skewered piece of chicken? Nothing.
Oh, come on. How do you eat chicken if it's not on a skewer, I ask you? So they invited the press out to come see Rango.
They invited the press. All of them seem to agree that it is an in-person experience, that this does not translate well to the video that you saw that was officially released by the company. Mm-hmm. But it really does persist as you move your head from side to side. I guess it has a 100-degree viewing angle. And as you move your head, it appears that you can look around the side of it. It requires no items be placed on your face. It just hovers there in the air. The downside is evidently it doesn't have a lot of brightness. So they have to be in a very dark room to experience it. But again, this is sort of the 1.0 version of or not even 1.0, but the sort of first unveiling of the technology. And
also that it takes the same amount of electricity as it takes to light Detroit for 3 days to do one Rango for 3 minutes.
I mean, it does have a series of a large array of GPUs that are required to push this thing. But all of that, I think is the detail. All of that is going to be improved, right? Mm-hmm. The tech is the tech, and they're showing.
They said the same thing about Detroit.
That was improved by RoboCop. We all know that.
That's true.
So what they've got right now is this 28-inch holographic display.
So it's a display.
It is a display. It's a display.
Because that's what I was going to ask. You said there's nothing on my face, but does there need to be, is Rango in a tube? Is Rango behind glass? Is Rango,
no.
How does Rango work?
Rango is projected in front of this display. Okay. So it is a wall, it is a wall of screen. Mm-hmm. And the cool thing about this is what they showed is a 28-inch display, which is pretty small. Yeah. That display can push 2.5 billion pixels. And the density of the image is about 10 billion pixels per meter. So yes, people have reported a bit of screen dooring when you get close to it. It is not perfect. The image seems to shimmer slightly or have a little bit of texture to it that you wouldn't see in a real Rango. But the cool thing about this is that these things are modular. These things are modular, so you can stack them and you can connect them. So
like an LED wall.
Exactly. So you take a bunch of, so the 28-inch display is actually made up of a whole bunch of even smaller ones. And you can continue to stack them. And their goal is to like bring these out in theme parks and, kind of big entertainment venues, museums, etc. And you could theoretically create a gigantic wall of this stuff. So you have a big T-Rex that, comes out at the museum or whatever
like
you want to do.
Real big Rango.
Or like an even larger Rango.
With like a real big hat.
Actually has a hat this time.
Like a huge hat on that Rango.
Well, proportional to the Rango head.
Proportional to the Rango, but the Rango is also huge. Yeah. So I guess my number one question here is, how does this differ from the baseball card or the Pokemon card? Because what we're looking at, I mean, it's clear, obviously. We're talking about a clear screen that's set up in front of whatever the scene is.
Yeah.
But this does sound to me like it's a very high-tech version of it, Jeff, but how is this different than the Pepper's Ghost or the things that I've seen before?
Because Pepper's Ghost is actually projecting an image onto a thin piece of gauze or smoke, actually, or a mirror. This is not projecting onto anything. It is literally forming a wave of photons in the air and telling those photons to behave in the same way that is needed, that they behave when they actually bounce off of that kind of object.
It sounds fancy, but is it not just pixels on a screen?
Well, it is pixels in front of a screen. It is pixels hovering in the air in front of a screen. So it's exactly
not
what
behind. So it's not behind the screen. So it's not. So I guess what I'm trying to figure out is when I'm doing it, am I looking at this thing and it goes me, and then screen with Rango on it, and then behind that clear screen, the plants? Or are you saying it's me, plants? Yeah. Behind the plants is screen. Screen is somehow throwing Rango forward at
That's
me.
right. Yes, it's you. It's a whole bunch of photons hovering in the air that your brain is interpreting as a three-dimensional object. And then behind that is wall of screen. So it is a screen that appears to be projecting a hologram in the air in front of that screen.
Okay, now I'm like, whoa, because I was like, okay, a screen over, like I've seen that. This is okay. So it has to be really actually doing it in three-dimensional space because you've got a crowd of people looking at this Rango and they're all at different perspectives.
Exactly. So how
are they making this Rango?
And you can move your head. It maintains parallax scrolling. So when you move your head from side to side, your brain interprets it. You see it at all angles. There's no potential for nausea. There's no potential for breaking the image. You know how even if you look at tech we have now and you kind of tilt your head wrong, it fucks everything up. That will never happen here because it's literally causing the photons to behave in the same way they would for your brain to interpret a real object hovering in space.
Jeff, that's too crazy.
It's an actual hologram. It's the concept of an actual, we've always wanted out of a three-dimensional object. And they say,
it's
so right
literally
now
help me Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Well, I want to get into that because that's what everybody thinks of.
But it looks
as a hologram. Yeah. So basically what they've got right now is these submodules, which are 16,000 by 10,000 pixels. They're small. They're like just a few inches in size.
Okay.
And you stack a whole bunch of them together and you create this 28-inch display that they built. They evidently showed the Rango, and they also showed a watch, which was much smaller. Yeah. So the pixels were much denser. And the reports, at least from the guy on PC Mag, said, like, I could not, if you had asked me, I would have said there was a watch hovering in the air. Like he said it was indistinct. He said, there was some screen dooring with the iguana, but the watch was indistinguishable from a real object.
So it is almost like a projector in that they can take the limited resolution and make it larger, or they can focus that limited resolution down to make it clearer.
Exactly. So it's about pixel density. And so they can keep stacking these things and stack them and stack them and stack them and create these monstrous walls, which is what they are hoping to do with, create a consumer experience, end user experience.
Until one day a hologram of your dead girlfriend is 50 feet high and advertising itself as a sex bot to you.
Right.
And that's deep.
But there's nothing
that's deep and emotional, right?
Yes.
Like that's deep and emotional, and we feel like it's just as good as the original.
Are you a robot?
I mean, I hope so. So, but this sounds crazy expensive.
Scale,
yeah,
I was just gonna say at that scale, it's tens of millions of dollars. But that's today, right?
How much does it cost to buy one 28-inch Rango today? Like if I want to walk out with a Rango today.
Available for pre-order, dude. They're available for pre-order right now.
Okay.
How much it costs, though.
How much for one Rango?
I don't want to know. It's too much. I'm
no,
sure
I do want to know. I bet it's over $50.
It's probably over $50.
I bet it's definitely more than $50.
The 28-inch solid light surface panel. They said available for pre-order now. It does not say the price.
Yeah.
If you have to ask, it's too much.
I mean,
but the point is, like, all of this is going to get cheaper. Yeah. It's going to get the pixel density is going to get higher. The tech's going to improve. Basically, this is a proof of concept of we can do real holograms, which is why I sang the song at the beginning. Wow. And to me, this is extremely exciting because this is the dream of what a hologram is. A hologram is not supposed to look like Star Wars, where it's like, oh, that's obviously a hologram. The goal of a hologram is Star Trek.
Right.
It's the holodeck, dude. It's a thing that's
the doctor.
Indistinguishable.
It's the hologram doctor.
It's right. Because all of these tech journalists said that what they did and what they were allowed to do is put their hand out and try to touch it. And the hand just went right through it.
Right, because there's no real Rango there.
There's no Rango. But the brain thinks there is a Rango.
Wow.
Because the brain is interpreting the exact same situation that your brain interprets when it sees a real object. There's no difference between what your eye and brain are doing.
So maybe we've discussed it, maybe we haven't, Jeff, but I think that I bought one of those galaxy lights for when I go to sleep.
Right.
The galaxy lamps, and it it puts a nebula on my ceiling, and it puts like stars, and it's slowly, and it's lovely. It fills up my entire room. I love it a lot. It's very relaxing. Jeff, we're going to be able to do that anime shit where I've got like hologram jellyfish floating around in my apartment as I go to sleep.
Oh, I appreciate that, but I think you're kind of thinking about the low end of what this is going to mean. Jellyfish hanging around your room while you're sleeping is pedestrian compared to what potential we got here with this bad boy.
Hey, fuck you, man. We can all use it however we want.
No, you're right. Like I said, I'm not trying to.
Why are you yucking my yum?
I'm not trying to. I just feel like you're.
Are you saying
imagine
giant glowing jellyfish just floating around your apartment and lulling you to sleep? That's not cool. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not using the Rango right.
I think it's very cool. I want a fucking holodeck, dude.
Yeah, sure.
I want to be Sherlock Holmes and solve mysteries with a bunch of characters that aren't really there, but hang around in my room.
Dude, what are you going to do when digital assistants have like a physical form? I already don't like Alexa.
Yeah.
But like,
it's coming, dude. It's going to have a physical form, and it's going to talk to you with AI. It's going to learn about you, and it's going to be a family member.
Oh, it's so weird.
In our lifetime, that's happening.
It's
Guaranteed.
So weird. Right now, we can at least have a 28-inch one. A little guy. Just a little guy helping you out around the house.
Just sort of
reminding
flies.
you of things. Just maybe you can have your own Rango that just like helps you out around the house. And he's just like, hey, it's me, Rango. And you have an appointment at 3. You better start driving because of traffic. It's me, Rango. A great actor. That was his whole thing. He was a great actor.
He was a great actor. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I found the form to fill out to get the pre-order.
Yeah. Fill it out.
It says
Tell them you represent the
Lollipop Guild?
A large retail a large retail establishment, and you are thinking about you want to install one of the displays.
Well, we can fill this out together right now. Listen to this. Okay, it says, please fill out the form. Lightfield Lab is now accepting applications to pre-order first production solid light systems as manufacturing scales into next year.
Tell them we want one Rango.
It says name, company, email, phone, and industry. It says, please describe your solid light use case, application size, timeline, content type, installation environment, etc.
Tell them we want a Rango on our desk.
I want a Rango on my desk. Okay. I want a Rango on my desk. And then the last line, it says, Anthony, it says,
you got that money?
Budget range.
Budget range. We're not going to tell you. You tell us.
You tell us how much it costs.
You tell us how much you want. How much do you want a Rango?
How much it cost? How much you got?
How much do you really want this Rango? You say you want a Rango.
Yeah.
But are you just talk?
Are you all talk?
Are you all talk?
Let us know.
Or do you really love Rango?
Yeah.
That's this thing is hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, clearly.
For the 28 inch, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars.
In 5 years, Disneyland's going to have one of these bad boys. In 10 years, we may be able to buy one at Best Buy.
Dude, if who have they been talking to in secret?
Well,
already.
They already have partnership deals with Samsung and Comcast and a couple of other companies.
Wow.
They're trying to develop content for these things too, because you have to, specifically, you can't just put a movie on it. You gotta develop. You gotta
film it the right way.
Yeah.
Although one day, Jeff, we've talked about the idea of, hey, you know what I'd like? I'd like a wall that just looks like a window, or just a plain wall, or is a television and I can't tell the difference. You know what I mean?
Right.
It is that the wall will look however I want it to look. And then not only will it look however I want it to look, it will project 3D movies.
Yes.
There's got to be a limited version of this that I know it won't be 100%, but you could do something with movies. You could do some sort of conversion.
I'm sure at some point somebody's going to figure that out, where you can just extrude a movie into 3 dimensions or something. You know?
My God.
Yeah. I mean, I think basically, they've raised $38 million in venture capital. This company, their first
$38 million. You can only make 12 Rangos for that.
I know. That's why they haven't made the big wall yet, I guess. But their first use is going to be, entertainment centers, amusement parks, that kind of stuff.
Ooh, here's one. Okay. Like a Roomba, right? Or like a remote control car, right? But it's got a disc. It's got a disc on it, and it moves quietly, and it is a hologram you that goes to places you don't want to go.
Oh, I love this. And I can FaceTime it.
You can FaceTime it. You could even hopefully if it's some sort of presentation or something, you could talk a little bit and then just have it stand in the back and look attentive.
Oh, dude. Yes. I love this.
Or even just have it be pleasant. Just turn the AI to pleasantries and just who cares?
It's if it's a real me.
Yeah. Just for real low stakes things.
I love the marketing. When the real you is hollow inside, you need a hollow me.
Yeah. A hollow you for hollow obligations.
Exactly.
Yeah. A you as hollow as your job,
Is there shit that you don't want to be involved in? Let us handle that at Hollow Me.
I love it. I would love that.
I find this really exciting. I wish there was more information as to exactly how it works, because I'd love to dig into that. And again, a lot of this is proprietary. I guess they have a whole bunch of patents on it. But
where was this event? And as number one Rango influencers, why weren't we invited to this Rango event?
I was in San Jose, but I don't know.
I could have
I would have loved to gone. I
could have gone right up there.
Yeah.
Just the next time there's anything Rango related, I just feel like we should be involved. Now, I have already moved on. Yeah, I write it.
Wait, you've moved on? What do you mean you've moved on?
I've moved on. I think in my mind, it's already a Rango thing. I know we began in the beginning by saying, "Hey, remember, this is not Rango," but it's in my head, it's already Rango.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It was crazy how quickly in my head it transitioned into an actual Rango based event.
That this was only one of a number of Rango themed unveilings.
Maybe, and if there are Rango things going on, I feel like I should be invited.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Hey,
holographic Rango on my desk. Get Gore Verbinski on the phone.
He did direct that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He's a famous
Gore
director,
Verbinski
dude. He made Rango.
Directed Rango.
That's
so
what he's
funny.
known for.
It's so true. So I do want to talk a little bit about the TIE fighter in the room. Because everybody, when you think of holograms, you think help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope, right?
Right. But that kind of looks like shit. So you don't
It
want
looks like
to
shit.
think about that.
That's the problem, is that fundamentally, no one would accept that as any sort of commercial technology. The fact that every time you see a hologram in Star Wars, it looks like a blue monochromatic piece of garbage is just...
They can do them in color. They can do them in color now. They've quietly been like, okay, now it's sort of in color and it's a little, you know what I mean? Like they've sort of been upgrading their technology as they go.
But the idea that anybody would go to market with that would be like, hey, I know you've been using perfectly good screens to see people, where it looks, point a camera at a person and you see them and they look like them,
No, we don't. We try not to use screens.
What if it hovers in the air, barely looks like them, barely looks like, it looks like some bluish fucking awful version of them. There's static. It constantly...
Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
Say no more. I want to invest.
All right.
Okay.
Let's do it. Let's bring that shit to market. Not only will the entire military use it, but also, just the average folks who may join the Rebel Alliance, they're probably going to be using it too.
Everybody's using it. It's the
it.
default technology. They're either listening to radio or they're watching shitty holograms. They went from audio straight to 3D.
It makes zero sense to me.
Sometimes they use screens, but only for like
nav computers,
only for navigational computers and things. Computers can have screens, but they can't have video on them. Just symbols.
The only theory I've ever heard that explains this in any sense at all is that Star Wars is a fictional universe.
Period.
Where
that's all you need. It's so funny. It's so funny how that's not enough for people. Go on.
You get to the heart of the matter. I appreciate that. But no, it's a fictional universe where war was the prevailing thing that people did. War defines everything. And so there's no entertainment. The idea of like all the energy and effort and money and innovation that we as a culture have put into refining entertainment just didn't happen in the Star Wars universe because everybody was fucking at war all the time. And so
I mean, they have a HoloNet.
They have a HoloNet?
Yeah, they have a HoloNet.
When is what is that? When did I miss that?
That's how they watch shit. They watch shit on it, but they watch Rango.
But is Rango blue and staticky?
I mean, he can be whatever color he wants to. He's a great actor.
I feel like you're not engaging with my premise.
I mean, I'm engaging with your premise, but like, the HoloNet is what they use to broadcast like everything.
War shit.
But also Twi'leks dancing. You know how every once in a while they're just sitting around a table watching Twi'leks dancing?
Yeah, but on a fucked up, shitty blue static screen.
That's what they got, dude.
But that's what I'm saying is that like they got all
they have entertainment though
into innovating and creating a Death Star and laser swords and fucking like all these elements of war that are far beyond the technology that we've got. But we seriously outpace them when it comes to just being able to watch a show. You know?
Yeah. Well,
it's like, imagine everybody who right now is working at Facebook, all the minds at Google and Facebook and fucking Disney and all the companies who have gobbled up all of this incredible talent, all these brilliant people and focused them on selling you entertainment shit. And now imagine a universe where the same thing is done to just make laser swords and spaceships and a planet-sized gun. Death Star is a
robot that looks like a human
gun.
To be your buddy.
Yeah, but he's not there to be your buddy. He's there to just translate because you're at war all the time.
No, a lot of the time they're there to be your buddy. Let me, here's the other thing. I always figured it like this. If somebody had gone straight from radio and instead of inventing the cathode ray tube, instead of the first thing being like a screen, if somebody had cracked a hologram first, it would be, and that was what people were used to watching, it would be almost impossible to have them go back to 2D for entertainment. They would be like, we don't really do that. That's for work shit. You know what I mean?
What is this, not blue, they'd say?
What is this, not three-dimensional?
I'm supposed to watch something that's not blue?
That just looks like some flat garbage. Cool flat garbage. What is that, a painting that moves? Eat shit. That thing's real. I don't know.
I don't think that's how human brains work. I think human brains looks better.
It's not real, Jeffrey.
Yeah, you're right. They're not all humans. You're right, Anthony. There's a lot of other alien species there.
Yeah.
You're right.
Who knows how Celestins see? Maybe Celestins can't see screens.
I can't apply my human brain logic to, something a Twi'lek would think, right?
Maybe Greedo can't see screens.
Yeah.
Do you remember how for a long time we thought pets couldn't like see screens?
Yeah. We did a story about that.
Yeah, we just thought that they couldn't. Because why would they?
Yeah.
Idiots. Maybe Star Wars aliens can only see Rangos.
Because not a single
Rangos all the way down.
Not a single pet has ever produced a show. That's why.
There was a dog with a blog once.
They could see screens.
But that's different.
They would have been pitching shows to me, right?
Yeah, exactly. They can only see text on screens. That's how they have blogs. I think this is exciting. I think it sounds very expensive, but you're right. In our lifetime, this is technology that could trickle down.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're going to see it in Vegas and at theme parks. And then, little by little, if it's actually as cool as reported, it'll be a thing, dude. It'll be a thing. And we will have screens in our house that just show us 3-dimensional images. That sounds so awesome to me.
Do you remember the Ray Bradbury story, The Veldt?
Yes.
The Veldt is one of my favorite stories of all time. And before it turned creepy, I remember being like, wow, imagine having a room like that in your house.
Yeah.
Where
all
you can
the
just
walls.
you can just I'm wherever I want to be. Yeah. And I had not yet heard of the holodeck yet. And so I was just like, wow, I want that room, but I don't want a lion to eat me.
Just like you're just surrounded by Rangos all day long.
God,
Rango here,
just
Rango
me
there.
And Rangos.
Rango everywhere.
Just me and the Rangos is what I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go check in with the Rangos. I'll be back. This is cool. I want it all over my house. I want it on every surface.
Me too. There's no downside.
There's no downside. This can't possibly be used in a horrible way. What was that we were saying about wars? It doesn't matter. Hey, thanks to Cookie for sending that one in.
Good job, Cookie. Congrats on the nickname. I hope you don't resent it too much.
If you want a nickname, you should go to somebody else. I've never given a good one.
We're terrible at it. Anthony is certifiably horrible at nicknames.
I'm real bad at it. And but I will give you one if you suggest enough stories and get on the show. There is no set number. It is according to my whim.
Like science, it's a feeling.
Like science, it's mostly a feeling. But hey, if you want to submit a story, you can do it to wehaveconcernshow@gmail.com. You can submit it to the subreddit. And the best place to put a story is probably on the Discord. And if you want access to that Discord, just check out patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. And for just $1 a month,
so cheap,
you can get up on that Discord. And it's not just a play. We're not just making you pay to send us stories.
No.
God, no.
There's so much more content there. There's folks hanging out. There's all kinds of channels over there on that Discord. And imagine a world, Anthony, where every single person who listened to this podcast just gave us $1 every month. It's so small. It's you wouldn't even notice.
Come on. That's all I have to say is, come on.
We could get a Rango wall.
We can get 1/10 of 1/8 of 1/7 of a Rango wall. But yeah, go to patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. Check out the Discord. As you give a little more, you get a little more in return, like bonus audio, conversations, videos, all kinds of fun stuff. So check out patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. I want to talk about memory.
All right.
We got a story that was sent in to us.
Did I forget something again? Is this why?
If you did, I also forgot. That's where we are.
All right.
That's where we are in our lives. But this was a story that was sent in by Mom of Goblins.
Ooh, I love Mom of Goblins.
And it's about memory, our quality of memory, and particularly quality of memory as we age.
Okay. I.e. not that great.
Yeah. How is your memory? Are you a good memory person or a bad memory person?
I am a bad memory person. It's a strange thing. I will remember the sort of feeling of something, but I won't be able to come up with a specific name of it or the person's name or the place where we found that, talked about that. But I'll remember the broad strokes. It's those pesky details that evade me now.
Yeah, I have a very ADHD sort of memory in which, like, I can meet a person. I'll remember exactly where I met them. I'll remember everything we talked about. I'll remember what they were wearing. I will remember, like, if they mention what their uncle does for a living, I will remember that. Here's what I won't know: their fucking name.
Yeah.
Never can't remember a name. I can remember all kinds. I remember all kinds of details from all kinds of things that are just completely unimportant, but I cannot tell you where I've left anything. I cannot tell you what I did last week.
Yeah. I drive my wife nuts with where did I put my blank? Where did I put my keys, wallet, glasses, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It drives her nuts. That is a problem. I have tried to make strides, especially since moving to Denver, where I'm now just meeting all kinds of people. I.e., parents of my kids' classmates. I've been trying really hard to be better on the name thing, like really concentrating on the name thing. It's tough. It's tough. But the thing that drives me more crazy is when I'll be trying to tell somebody something, tell a story, relate a story or tell them about something. And I can see the thing in my head. I can see the actor of the show, or I can see the object that I'm trying to describe, and I can't think of the name of it. I can't for the life. That is the thing that drives me so nuts about my dumb memory.
Yeah, it's very interesting. What we're talking about here is sort of vivid recall, the ability to bring back vivid details about memories and about things that we've experienced. And this is a study that was run by Florida State University, but let's not discount it just based on that.
Yeah.
Just
because we won't remember that by the end anyway.
Look, just because they're one of, is there really a school in Florida that isn't a party school at this point? Speaking of somebody who grew up in Florida. But,
I think the Florida State science program's motto is fuck around and find out.
Fuck around and find out, man.
That's how they conduct science.
Fucking dare you. The Florida State University Science Department is like, fucking dare you. That's how they do it. They go, fucking dare you. You won't. But this was researchers who were in particular researching our memories during the last 2 years.
Oh, we've talked a little bit about how COVID and the lockdown and the fact that we don't have a lot of variety in the stimuli that we've been getting over the last couple of years has affected our ability to recall things, that novel experiences are more memorable. And since we have fewer novel experiences, we don't have as much that sticks out to remember. And therefore, everything feels like time is going by faster because we don't have these signposts in our memory that stick out, right?
Yeah. And what's interesting about this is what you've got people who essentially have, 2 years of short-term and long-term sort of kind of memory loss, right? But what you also have is, as opposed to asking people who have advanced memory loss or people who have dementia or something like that as they've aged and they've lost their memory, is like, these people are still pretty sharp. They're still with it. You can ask them things about their memory over the last few years, right? Because they're younger. And what they found was, cognitive function definitely makes memories easier to recall, right? Like the wetware's got to be working. The brain's got to be working at a certain capacity, and everything's got to be healthy, et cetera, et cetera. And sure, aging is a part of this. But what they really found is not just these novel experiences, Jeff, but a sense of purpose in your life controls how vivid your memory recall is.
So having a sense of purpose means I'm able to recall things better? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So people with a stronger sense of purpose in life reported that their memories were more accessible, coherent, and vivid than participants with less purpose, with less to do, with less meaning in their life. And you think about the last 2 years, a lot of people had their purpose sort of taken away. Right? Yeah. I can't do what I normally do. I'm sort of stuck in the house. I don't have much to do right now. I can do is wait this out. And without that sense of purpose, people's memories began to slide real hard.
Wow. So, I mean, I feel like this to me, I would be able to intuit. This feels very in line with my worldview in the sense that I believe purposefulness and intention empower the human machine in a number of ways. Mm-hmm. And I think it's interesting that memory seems to be one of them, at least based on this study. But I feel like it makes you live longer.
Yeah.
I feel like it makes you healthier. You know, I feel like your body rallies to what you ask of it. And obviously there's exceptions to that. I'm not saying it's, universal, but
no, I can lift a car.
I think that there are, I look at somebody like Ian McKellen, who, is a hero of mine. And he's
Ian McKellen, please.
Sir Ian McKellen.
Indeed. He didn't go to night school for 5.5 years to just be called Ian McKellen. You call him Gus. You call him Gus the theater cat.
He, in his 80s, he just did Romeo and Juliet. Oh, no, Hamlet. He did Hamlet. Yeah. He played Hamlet at like 80 something. Which I thought was really cool. And it was like age inverted, where all the older characters played by young actors. Anyway, but he's like on stage memorizing.
Is that cool or is that just weird? Like when you're watching
both. I think it's both. I would have loved to have seen it. It's on stage in London right now, or was. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is like, here's a dude who's memorizing reams of dialogue at an advanced age, spry as a house cat. I think actors at that age,
said spry as a theater cat.
Yeah, that too. Actors at that age, I feel like, he needs to do that. He is focusing his intention. He has a purpose. He needs to get on stage and speak those lines. Other actors are relying on him. I think have you seen him and Patrick Stewart just going out fucking around? Yeah. Those are two 80-something-year-old dudes just having a good old fuck around. Squad goals, dude. I want to do that someday.
And I think you're right. He loves what he does. He feels like what he does is important. He feels like he was born to do what he does. And so he does it. And he wouldn't stop, and that's so important. They found that actually, so they did 800 study participants, and they basically reported on their sense of purpose. And then they completed tasks that measured cognitive speeds right before. And this is what's crazy. They did it right before the pandemic. They did it in January and February. They didn't know the pandemic was going to affect this study. This was just going to be a generalized study of memory.
Wow. The only people that were high-fiving that the pandemic happened.
Right?
Boy, this worked out well for us, at least.
Well, I would imagine. I think Bezos has high-fived some people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Too.
Feels like
but he was
done a high
in
five.
space while he did it, so it was a little more difficult to high five him.
Wearing his fucking cowboy hat. Give that back to Rango. You don't deserve that cowboy hat. So they did this in January and February 2020, and then they did the same thing in July 2020 and measured their ability to retrieve and describe personal memories about the pandemic.
Wow.
Tell me about this week. Tell me about what you did this week. And then what happened. And,
people had a hard time, I'm guessing.
Yeah, a lot of people were just like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. But they found that the people who had a very internal sense of purpose, how
did they define that?
So they sort of ask them about like things they felt about their life. What do you feel like you're here for? Like very personalized questions about what are your goals? What are you like? What are you about? Who are you as a person? And they sort of took those answers and were sort of like, okay, well, these are the people that clearly are goal oriented, are thinking about why they're here, that sort of thing.
This is why I've always said, Anthony, that if you want to remember something, make a list of all the people that have wronged you.
Yes.
And decide you will destroy them.
Yes. Everyone who has ever laughed at you, you will be laughing at them, Jeff.
You will never forget it. You will your memory will be honed like a laser.
This motherfucker says you can't do something. Fuck that motherfucker.
Yeah.
I don't even remember who that motherfucker is anymore.
That motherfucker gave you purpose. They gave you a gift in your hatred for them.
All I know is that I have to make them look bad. I've actually had this discussion with some people, particularly some creative types in my life, and how you have to find a new motivation once your anger goes away. Once your anger goes away and you're just like, no, I don't care.
Yeah.
I know who I am and I know what I'm about and I'm not mad at who cares what that person thinks and blah, blah. When that goes away, like you got to be sure that you have more than that, because a lot of people are motivated just by that.
Well, you hear stories that people talk about Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and these like superstar athletes that would
Michael Jordan's so filled with hate.
Would they manufacture reasons to be angry?
Yeah.
Right? Like Michael Jordan at his Hall of Fame induction ceremony, universally regarded as the greatest basketball player of all time. Countless accolades. Like no mountain he has not crested in his glory.
Mm-hmm.
At his Hall of Fame induction ceremony, he invited the kid who ousted him from his high school basketball team, the kid who got the spot instead of him.
Yeah.
He had held on to that resentment so long that he invited that motherfucker to his Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And
there was a personal assistant that had to find that guy.
He remembered being in 7th grade or whatever it was, and he didn't get on the team because of that dude. 20 some odd years later, whatever it was, I'm in the Hall of Fame, bitch. you know, it's like
now. Look, it's anger. Probably shouldn't be your number one purpose. Like you should have a different. Your purpose should be something else. But sure, it can. I don't even know how to do that.
I don't even know how to. I don't even have the reserves of anger to even get there. Like that's kind of a superhuman to me in and of itself.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, and it makes you. It makes you wonder what the cost is to their internal life.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
Because
it does have a cost. Certainly.
Can you enjoy the fact that you're the best and blah, blah, blah. And
right.
I'm sure Michael Jordan is fine. I'm sure Michael Jordan's doing great. I'm not worried about Michael Jordan. I'm just saying
he did grow that Hitler mustache that one time.
That was really weird. But so here's the thing. People who had a sense of purpose, something that they were trying to accomplish, something that they wanted to do with their lives, not only remembered more of what went on during the pandemic, but they also reported many more sensory details, spoke about their memories more from a first-person perspective, like which requires you to sort of remember what you were feeling in the moment and like what it all sort of, all the sensory stuff of what was going on. And also reported, and here's the thing, Jeff, here's why the anger thing isn't going to work. They reported more positive feeling and less negative feeling when asked to retrieve a memory.
Interesting.
There, you have to have, I mean, what this is basically saying is not just, you know, in terms of spiritually or whatever for emotional fulfillment, but physiologically, you have got to have something greater than yourself you are working for.
I love this. I love this notion. I think that is true. I think purposefulness is vital for your health, but also your ability to engage with life on a happiness level. Just like, I think that we are, for whatever reason, whatever weird evolutionary quirk caused it, I believe we are built to try.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in order to have something to reach toward, your body is focused. I mean, it makes complete sense to me. If you lift weights every day, your muscles get stronger.
Yeah.
Right? If you tell your body, I need to be able to pick up this weight and bring it toward my chest 20 times in a row, your body goes, well, okay, I'll get better at that for you.
Yeah.
It doesn't, why should any other facet of your physiology work any different? If you're saying, I need to do something, and your body goes, well, I better fucking remember shit then. You know?
Fuck. There's a lot going on and it's very important and we should know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so something that I found incredibly interesting about this, because this is a question that popped into my head, is like, okay, but this positivity and this sort of thing. And like, so what about people who like me, who have like clinical depression and anxiety, right? And are in treatment. Does that affect it? Does that affect the sense of purpose? Does that affect the positivity?
Interesting.
And what they found was, no. People with depressive symptoms, as long as they had this goal, as long as they knew what they were working to, just having more depressive symptoms did not make their memory worse.
Interesting.
So it does not affect, like it doesn't affect it. I mean, it can affect you if you allow your depression to affect your sense of purpose. Right. If you allow it to take that away from you, then yes. But for people that have generally what would be considered a more, I think of it as neuroatypical. Some people might say more negative, right? If that's the simplistic way to say it. If you have a naturally more negative way of looking at the world, that in and of itself is not enough to kind of ruin your memory during a time of stress or during a time like this. As long as you have a thing that you're working towards, or you know what you're supposed to be doing. Something that they said is, purpose in life has been associated with better episodic memory. But this latest research expands on that by showing a correlation between purpose and the richness of personal memory. So episodic memory would be like, we're going to give you a number of words to memorize, come back, and let's see if you memorize
which
those
episode
words.
Which episode of Seinfeld they were in.
Right. And then, but this research says like, it's not just, hey, you can remember the words that you need to remember. This is like a richness of personal memory. You remember more details. You remember more sensory things. You remember more about the way you were feeling in the moment.
That's cool.
It brings you, it's a little bit closer to that eidetic memory.
I want the next level of this study to go into the specifics of how to sort of cultivate that purpose, that like what is needed to achieve these results? How, what kind of purpose, how you describe it to yourself, I would love for there to be more clarity with regard to defining that.
Yeah. Cause I think when we think about purpose, it's like, oh, well, I don't want to invent anything huge, and I don't want to like
Right.
my goal isn't to change the world or get famous or like blah blah blah. And I don't think that's what they mean. Like I think if your purpose is like, hey, you know, I've really been working hard, and I want to be able to play music, or not even that. I just want to be. I wake up every day knowing that I just want to be like a really good parent.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. My kids need me.
Yeah.
I have purpose because they need me. I want to do right by them. Yeah, I think all of that.
Like any of that is a
works, but
purpose.
Sure. Yeah.
You know?
But I'd love for it to sort of scientifically be broken down if there was a methodology they could get to where you could figure out a way, you know, I don't want to hack this necessarily, but I think it would be useful to get some kind of, you know, way to focus in on how we define that to ourselves and what power that can have.
Dude, I think you know what's funny is like this when you team it up with what we were talking about when Josh was on the show the other day, like this hot streak thing and how you know what the level of creativity versus dexterity, you know, all of this. It's funny because all of this really does dovetail with like a big thing that a lot of people are thinking about right now as the world opens back up, which is what the fuck am I doing here? What am I supposed to be doing, and how do I do it the best I can? Because I feel like I just had 2 years. I was just robbed.
Yeah.
Somebody came 100%. Into my house and robbed me. How do I get a new thing?
Yeah,
you know?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I moved to a new part of the country, you know, as I think that was part of it.
Yeah.
I think it all comes into it. I will tell you though, my purpose as of today is going to be to get me a Rango 3D hologram display, bro.
This motherfucker right here just moves into a house with a movie theater in it. And it's not enough. He's got to have that Rango.
It's not a hologram. I got to get that Rango.
Got to get that Rango.
Purpose.
My purpose for the rest of the afternoon is to see what streaming services currently have Rango.
It's got to be on Disney Plus, right?
And watch Rango in the highest fidelity I can possibly watch it. Do you think they released a 4K? Do you think they released a 4K Rango? I'm going to go look and see if they had a 4K Rango. We'll see you next week.